I'll always remember the first time I practiced an Iyengar-style restorative yoga posture. It felt like something in the posture was physically helping my brain go into this quiet place that I hadn't felt before. It turns out that was exactly what was happening. I went on to study this scientifically, and this is what I found. I found that there's a reflex called the baroreflex. It's a well-known reflex, and it helps the brain relax in restorative yoga poses. So let me step back and explain. And then I'm going to explain to you how you can take advantage of this reflex in your restorative practice and teaching. So take two fingers and feel the pulse in your neck. What you're feeling is your carotid artery. This artery transmits blood from your heart below up to your brain above. And just under your fingers, where you feel the pulsation, there are pressure sensors that are telling your brain just how much pressure is going in. Now this is important because your brain doesn't want the pressure to be too high or too low. If the sensors feel that the pressure is too low, they'll make the heart beat faster and harder and push the pressure up. If the pressure is too high, they will slow down the heart and tell the muscle to actually relax more. Now, this is mediated partly by the effects of gravity, or it's influenced, I should say, by the effects of gravity. That means that when you're upright and the heart has to push blood uphill, it has to push harder to get the pressure it wants. When you lie down, that same level of heartbeat and pushing is going to cause too much pressure, which is going to cause the sensors in the neck to be activated very strongly, and they're going to tell the brain the pressure's too high. The brain is going to tell the heart to slow down. So this is what happens. Every time you stand up, the pressure drops in your brain, it drops in your neck, the sensors pick that up, they tell the brain tells the heart, speed up the heart, increase the pressure. Every time you lie down, the pressure increases in your neck, the sensors notice that, they tell the brain says, oh, the pressure's too high, they tell the heart, relax, slow down. So that's well known to doctors and scientists. What's less known among scientists, except for a handful of sleep research scientists, is that the same reflex that slows down your heart and tells it to relax has a parallel branch that slows down your brain and tells it to relax when the pressure increases in your neck. Now, yogis didn't know exactly the physiology, but they discovered long ago that when you go into an upside-down posture, which does increase pressure in your neck because of gravity working on the blood, that the posture causes your brain to feel more relaxed. So a lot of yoga postures are inverted. They're upside down. In restorative yoga, we take those postures that are inverted and we make them passive. We prop you up so that you can stay in the inversion for a longer time and therefore go into a deeper and deeper relaxation, pushed in part by this baroreceptor activation. The art of it is tricky because if you're too steep in an inversion, first of all, it's difficult to do, so it's not relaxing. Second, it's hard to stay there for a long time. It becomes uncomfortable, which is also not relaxing. So to practice effectively, you want to have a mild inversion. But when the inversion is mild and comfortable, then the baroreceptor stimulation is less and the effect is weaker. So what I'm going to show you is a little trick for increasing the baroreceptor pressure without creating a lot of discomfort. You can do it in a mild posture, any of a number of mild reclining style or legs up restorative yoga postures. And it's easy to do. I'll explain how it works and then I'll show you how to do it. Now here's a little demonstration you can try on yourself to learn how to use gravity to increase pressure in any part of your body. It's very simple. The principle is this: any part of your body that's lower than your heart, gravity is going to increase pressure there. Any part that's higher than your heart, gravity is going to decrease pressure. And you don't have to go all that far below the heart to get the increase in pressure you want. Remember, the thing we're going for here is an increase in pressure in the neck in order to stimulate the baroreceptors in order to quiet the brain. But what I'm about to show you applies to any part of the body. And we'll use the hand because it's convenient. Take one hand, reach it out to your side and down lower than the level of your heart. It only has to be about 6 or 8 inches below. That's 15 or 20 centimeters lower than your heart. And you'll notice that the veins in your hand stand out. The reason is because gravity is pushing blood toward the hand, increasing pressure in those veins. Now, if you bring the hand higher than the heart, just about 15 or 20 centimeters, that's 6 or 8 inches, you'll see that the veins quickly drain out. They flatten out. That's because gravity is bringing blood from the hand toward the heart, and pressure in the hand is reduced. If you now bring the hand below heart level again, you'll see that slowly the veins fill up again. Pressure has been increased again. So it's just that simple. If a part of the body is lower than the heart, gravity increases pressure there. If it's higher than the heart, gravity decreases pressure there. One other thing, if you go a little bit lower, you get a stronger gravitational effect. So the vertical distance from the heart down to the target area of the body is what determines the amount of gravitational influence on blood pressure there. And we're going to use that fact to help us increase blood pressure in the carotid sinus, in the neck, in a restorative position, so that the baroreflex can help quiet the brain more quickly and more strongly. So now I'm going to show you how to optimize stimulation of the carotid sinus baroreceptors in a restorative posture in order to get maximum relaxation. To do this, you're going to need a place to lie down, a folded sticky mat, and a couple of blocks. If you don't have these props, you can substitute others. Folded blankets would do nicely. The first thing I'd like you to do is just sit there and notice whether you feel any sensation of pressure in your face or in your neck. Ordinarily, in an upright posture, we don't feel that. But now, lie down and see if you can notice a subtle difference. You can keep your knees bent, but lie flat with your hips, your heart, and your neck at the same level, and you'll notice just by taking this posture, your neck pressure and your face pressure is perceptibly increased, if you just notice carefully. Your baroreceptors are actually being stimulated by this posture, and that's part of the relaxing effect you may feel as you lie there. The next step is to take your blocks, one or two, put them under your hips, so your pelvis is elevated, but keep your chest down and lie on the backs of your shoulders just like you're lying flat on the floor. Don't roll your shoulders back. Notice now that your hips, actually your thighs and your hips and your heart and your neck form a slanted line. And as you lie there, you'll feel a pressure in your face and in your neck that's greater than before. Your heart is slightly elevated by this. Now, this is not the correct posture. This is not the posture I'm trying to teach you. In fact, this is a common mistake. People often think that this position is the correct position in a restorative pose. Here's where the genius of BKS Iyengar comes in. Remove your blocks. Bring in your folded sticky mat and place it under your shoulders so they're slightly off the floor, but keep your head down on the floor. Put your blocks back underneath you, under the pelvis, but still don't lift the chest. Now, just by elevating the shoulders, what's happened is the heart is slightly higher off the floor, and your neck is not lifted as much, and therefore the baroreceptors have slightly more stimulation. You'll feel a slight increase in pressure in the face. But this is not the final posture, not by any means. What you want to do to get the maximum effect is to first lift your hips up very high, and then roll your shoulders far back. The tops of the shoulders go back. Roll them underneath. They go down your back. Push your elbows down and lift the sides of your chest up, armpit sides of the chest forward, breastbone forward and up, so your chest is as vertical as you can get it. Now your heart is much higher than your neck. You can't keep this height, but you can keep some of it as you place the pelvis down. Keep as much height of the chest as you can so the chest remains lifted, and then relax your arms, relax your shoulders, tilt your tailbone away from you and relax your pelvis,
And find a position in which the chest remains lifted as far as you can lift it, and yet you can relax your muscles. Now notice that the feeling of pressure in your face has increased, which means the pressure in your neck has increased as well. You may be able to feel it, maybe not. It's the pressure in the carotid artery in the neck that's now stimulating your baroreceptors, which are triggering a reflex relaxation of both your heart and your brain. If you stay in this posture, the posture itself will literally slow your brain waves down, and you can feel it happening. Now, this is not a complete restorative yoga posture. To complete the pose, there are several other factors we would need to take into consideration. But knowing this one factor can take you very far in practicing poses that have this configuration. Poses such as supported bridge pose, which is Setu Bandha Sarvangasana, and Viparita Karani, which is the legs up the wall pose. So if you remember that the height of the heart above the neck is what drives most of the baroreflex, you can use the baroreflex better in your restorative practice. And if you're a teacher, you can also teach this to your students.